welcome. This is very exciting. Seeing the number of first-time CloudFest attendees is incredible. I'm excited for what we've got for you today. We're going to start with kind of a highlight of all of the amazing things that people are doing with AlmaLinux. I'm going to bring up the rest of my panelists so that they can come have a seat. Come on up. I have gotten to tell our story a lot in the last couple of years. I have a feeling that most of you are here because you know at least part of the story. And I'm excited to take you through a bit of our history so that... Are you hearing that? You guys got it? Okay. So that you can see where we come from. If you're not familiar with the Red Hat Enterprise ecosystem, it is incredible. The number of downstream forks and repacks and clones and deviations from Red Hat that have existed in the last 20 years. This image is 10 years old. That tells you exactly how active the Red Hat Enterprise Linux ecosystem is. Though Red Hat got its start in 1994, we're going to skip ahead to 2004 because that's the year that I care about most. That's where our story really begins. In 2004, CentOS had its first stable release. CentOS is my first love. It's my first Linux. It was my first entry into anything in the Red Hat ecosystem. When I started, I had no idea really what CentOS was to Red Hat. I didn't know that Red Hat existed. All I knew was that CentOS is what we used. It was mostly at work, and it was my first foray into what would become a lifelong involvement in enterprise Linux. In 2019, Red Hat introduced this new thing called CentOS Stream. Stream sits between Fedora and Red Hat in the build pipeline. Stream allows earlier engagement and earlier involvement from the Red Hat community and from the enterprise Linux ecosystem. It allows us all to engage and fix bugs earlier and that kind of stuff. But it was not the downstream version that we had all come to know and love. And then there we go. In the end of 2020, we all saw a giant shift in the ecosystem where Red Hat announced that they were shifting all of their resources from CentOS Stream to CentOS Linux, or from CentOS Linux to CentOS Stream. This decision impacted organizations that used CentOS Linux as their upstream. It impacted organizations that were nonprofits or educational organizations that used CentOS because they knew that they could rely on it to be around for a long time and stable and secure. It impacted developers who used CentOS as their proving ground to say, this does work on Red Hat. It impacted people all over the world, and immediately, open source did what open source does. We got to work on replacing CentOS Linux because we all shift. As challenges come up, we find a way to solve them. No one was surprised when CloudLinux was one of the first ones to announce that they would be backing a free version of Red Hat, or of the downstream version that was CentOS. And we all were extremely excited to get involved. In January, it was announced. By March, we had a nonprofit organization set up, we had our initial board, and we had our first release. We took up the charge to fill the gap that was left by the end of CentOS Linux and to make this the reality. In everything that we were doing, our goal was a stable, secure operating system that also solved at the same time, a lot of the pain points that we had as users in the enterprise Linux ecosystem. There was one more thing that shifted in the last 3 years that impacted the AlmaLinux community, and that's in June of last year, Red Hat announced they would no longer be shipping their sources to git.cenos.org. That effectively broke our build pipeline. We had to shift. We knew that there were a lot of people relying on us. We have downstream operating systems relying on us. We have other projects that have used us as their base. We have developers. We have open source projects. We have nonprofit organizations that are all relying on us to remain stable and secure in the long term. So we took our time with a decision about what we were going to do. Because when you make a decision that impacts that many people, that has that kind of ripple effect, making a knee-jerk reaction decision, especially if it's emotion-based, doesn't help anybody. Ultimately, what we decided and what we heard from our users and the people that are engaged in the AlmaLinux community, they didn't need AlmaLinux to be one-to-one. They needed to know that if they used something,
Where is that?
That was amazing. Did you know that there's one button you can push to take you back to the beginning? That's awesome. They didn't need us to be one-to-one. They just needed to know that if they used Red Hat somewhere, or if they used an application on Red Hat, that it would work on AlmaLinux. So we decided this was our future. We use the same sources as Red Hat. We build from the same place. We release on the same cadence. We are hyper-focused on solving the pain points that we had and matching everything that our users need in what they're doing. The other thing that this decision did for us is gave us freedom. We're no longer tied to Red Hat's releases. We can do as our community needs. We can pull in patches for bugs earlier. We can release those bug fixes outside of the Red Hat pipeline. If we disagree with our upstream's decision about how important a bug patch is, we're not beholden to that anymore. We announced 2 additional repos. We have the testing repo, which allows people to engage in the tests that are in the fixes that we have released earlier, and the Synergy repo. Synergy allows us to solve problems that our community has by releasing anything that they need that isn't available already in EPEL. For anybody that's not familiar, EPEL is enterprise packages, or extra packages for enterprise Linux. It is the thing where most of us get the software that we need. But if there's something that you need that doesn't exist there, we can ship it in Synergy. Thanks to the incredible community that we have 4 architectures that we support for every single version of AlmaLinux. It is incredible that an open source, free, nonprofit operating system that's only 3 years old supports all 4 of these architectures, stably, consistently, and is used everywhere. Speaking of our community, the users, the contributors, the sponsors, all of the people that you need to make an open source project a success showed up almost immediately. When we launched our system, our first version of the mirror system, we had 12 mirrors already set up. Those 12 became 60 by the time we were 1 month old, so in April of 2021. And then by the end of 2021, we had 174. We were at more than 14 times what we started with just 10 months earlier. Thanks to a change that we made in late 2021, we now have the ability to optionally, if people enable this setting, you can let us know that you're calling home to our mirror system to get updates. That has given us this information. And, oh, nope, I'm one slide ahead. These are the mirrors that that currently exist. 350 of them, more than, I think it's 354 this morning, across 6 continents. And we're working on the 7th one. Keep your eyes open. All of these mirrors are hosted by schools or organizations that support the mission that we have. This is the numbers I was talking about, the Count Me data that you can get in, that you can contribute to as an optional setting when you call home for updates. These are the devices that we're counting. We are over 800,000 now, and you can see that growth is becoming exponential. It is incredible to watch. We expect to top 1 million this month. You can see also that these devices are sticking around. These aren't just, somebody did a bunch of testing and then they went away. They're around for the long term. And keep in mind that this is only people who are calling home to our mirror system. We're seeing adoption from enterprises all over the world, from telephony like Vodafone and Starlink and Verizon to businesses that you use every day, like Chevron and Zoom and who else is on my list? All kinds of people. And then there's the education side of it. We have been adopted by CERN in the EU and Fermilab in the US, which has caused a rippling effect across all of the major HPC systems. One of our biggest supporters is a company called Migware. They are one of our newest sponsors, and they have made sure that we are on 5 of the top 500 HPC systems in the world. I actually got an email this morning from Peter over at Migware that they just added us to a 6th. So next year, that number will go up. If the people using AlmaLinux are using a private mirror, then we won't see them. So this is just the people that have actively told us about them. And before I hand it off to Igor, I'm going to tell you about one more part of the project that I'm super excited about. It's a thing called Elevate. Elevate allows you to upgrade in place between major versions of Linux in the enterprise Linux ecosystem. We are, again, trying to smooth the pain points that we had as users. So upgrades, we all know, if you've used CentOS, upgrading is a pain because it doesn't happen in place. You have to either kill the server and rebuild it and then restore your backups or migrate everyone. It's never nice. And we are trying to make it nicer. If you haven't taken a look at Elevate yet, and you have CentOS 7 servers that you're going to have to deal with, I strongly encourage you to look at it. We were playing with it and testing it and improving it even yesterday at the hackathon, and it's an incredible project that Chevron is my favorite example. They came up to us at a conference called Supercompute in the US and told us that they just used it. They had used Elevate to upgrade 50,000 of their devices. So I know that it is production ready, I know it can be used, and I know it does help a lot of people in a lot of ways. Elevate has been so helpful, in fact, that our friends at Oracle and our friends at cPanel have forked it to have their own version to improve the lives of their users. So definitely take a look at it. Now I get to bring up one of our biggest supporters, as somebody I'm sure most of you know already, Igor Seletskiy.
Hello, everyone. I think I have only one slide. Yeah, that one. So we've been... Do I want to stand? That's a good question. Yeah, so when we reached the point when Red Hat announced that CentOS is going to be end of life, and there is not going to be a free version of Red Hat anymore. It was kind of a bummer. I loved CentOS. But by that time, we already had CloudLinux for 10 years. And for these 10 years, we were creating a fork of Red Hat. It was done for a niche market, service provider market, cloud-fast kind of market. But we had a lot of experience. We didn't want to take it to enterprise because our specific was to the hosting market, but we had a huge experience repackaging, rebuilding Red Hat, creating a stable operating system based on that. We had automated build system. We had a lot of experts who knew how to do that. We had 20 kernel developers. We were doing extended lifecycle support for CentOS 6 as it was reaching end of life. So we had a lot of technical expertise on how to do that. What we didn't want to do, we didn't want to create another CentOS where it can be taken over later on by Red Hat, bought in and then killed again, or by some other party. So that was our main challenge when we decided, oh yeah, we can do it for the community. That was our main challenge, how to create an organization that would carry AlmaLinux into the future. Well, there was two challenges, finding the name and figuring out the organization. We did it. We didn't do it by ourselves. I want to say thank you to Simon, who helped a lot, and he'll be talking later on. Yeah, he helped a lot on, to figure out that we need a nonprofit, what kind of nonprofit, how to set up nonprofit, and that was honestly biggest challenge. The technology part was kind of easy. The organizational, the community part was a big challenge, but what I hope we created is an organization that can withstand the test of time, that will be here in 20 years, 30 years. Even if CloudLinux will be gone, a lot of other sponsors will be gone, it's okay. The organization itself should be here and should continue this idea of enterprise stable Linux distribution. Why CloudLinux does it? Why are we supporters? Well, to be honest, CloudLinux is possible because of open source. Because of open source, it became a big and successful, well, not big, but successful company. And we wanted to give back, and that was an excellent opportunity. So I want to thank you all for coming here, because what we did is we did it to give back, and you being here is showing us that, yeah, we are able to give back. Thank you.
Thank you. And the impact that Igor and the efforts of CloudLinux have had in the web hosting industry, in the technology industry, cannot be understated. I am super grateful every day to what they've done and how they continue to support us. Up next, I get to introduce one of my newest friends, Kenneth Tam.
Thank you, Benny. Hi, morning. My name is Kenneth Tam. I'm Executive Director at Sardina Systems. A little brief about me, but this presentation isn't about me. So I'm a techie that's gone into business, basically. And what do? Sardina, we build a cloud platform. We take OpenStack, we take Kubernetes, we take Ceph, and we turn it into a product that is easily deployable, easily operable by operators. And our customers run production clouds, some of them smaller, some of them giants. And today, one of the things that we've emphasized in what we do is simply that if you look at clouds, what do you want the cloud to be? What's the criteria number one? Rock solid stability. If the cloud platform isn't stable, the reputation of the operator is instantly toast. It doesn't matter whether the operator is in-house or the operator is external. You can only burn your reputation once. And so when we build out our product, this is one of the key emphasis that we embody in the product. And the customers also benefit from the additional deployment tools, operations tools, and upgrade tools that we bring in the product, and then enabling them to reliably run the system. And so when you look at the operation of a cloud platform, now, in selecting what you use for your base operating system, this is one of the key decisions. Now, in the Sardina journey, when we started in 2014, our focus was in building ops tools. And our ops tools targeted OpenStack. And at that point, we were looking, okay, what are the operating systems, what are the base operating systems that we would support? And the decision at that time was that we would support the Red Hat style environment. And later on, we switched slightly to be based on CentOS. And then later on, when we further built out Sardina FishOS as a full cloud platform, including a full OpenStack, Kubernetes, and self-distribution, we targeted the CentOS environment. And I can go into a little bit more detail in a moment about some of the considerations around our base OS decisions. Today, the product, we have deployed it in environments where customers rely on us in order to achieve very, very high utilization rates. How do we do that? Our ops tools. So there we take metrics around what are the utilization of each of the VMs, and we'll automatically figure out how to optimally pack the VMs. And we also bring a smart health engine to determine what could potentially be wrong in the system before the problem manifests itself, thereby enabling high uptimes for our customers. Remember, I said you can only burn your reputation once. And that's irrespective of whether you're an internal operator or you're an external operator. And in 2022, we introduced another product around FishOS, which is the FishOS integrated solution, whereby we bring hardware, software together, and we're able to pre-deploy the full system going into customer sites. And there, you could plug in power, network, and we're live. And so, why Alma? I mentioned a moment ago that stability and familiarity with the Red Hat environment is another. Now, if we look at the availability of techies, availability of operators, availability of sysadmins, what is the one single operating system environment where we could most easily find techies? Undoubtedly, it's a Red Hat style environment. Like it or not, this is not about religion. This is about practicality, yeah? And so you're going to find the widest availability of techies familiar with Red Hat style environments. So that's a good choice, because onward for our operators, they need these sysadmins. They need these cloud operators. They need basically technical personnel who are familiar with the environment. And so whatever that we do needs to be done with them in consideration. And then as we build out a cloud platform, it's very, very important for the operators that it is predictable, it is reliable, and this encompasses the release cycles, encompasses the tool interfaces, encompasses very, very broad-ranging aspects of the base operating system, which is what we built on in Sardina FishOS. And so to add to the list of sites that Benny mentioned earlier, how many of you live in Germany? A few of you. Great. Chances are, if you have had your genomic data collected somewhere in Germany, your data today runs on a FishOS system. We run the German Human Genomic Archive. And anybody here not concerned about climate? One person not concerned about climate. Aha, but many of you do. Well, if you want to debate on climate, there's an organization here in Germany, the German Climate Computing Center in Hamburg. These guys are fantastic. They have Nobel Prize winners after Nobel Prize winners on their staff. Truly amazing organization. Their cloud also run on Sardina FishOS. So these are some of the examples of the publicly visible sites that run on AlmaLinux today. With that, I'll hand on.
Thank you, Kenneth. Just in a few conversations I've had with Kenneth about the number of people that are running FishOS systems and the impact that FishOS is having, it makes me excited because it's, again, one of those projects that's based on AlmaLinux or that uses AlmaLinux as their base, and it's who we have to take into consideration when we make decisions. Another one of those projects we get to hear about now is from my other two new friends, called Chieko and Hide. I'll let them introduce themselves. Here you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Hello, I am Chieko Aihara, Vice President and Product Manager at Prime Strategy. I started my career as a WordPress engineer. The WordPress community has given me great strength. So I'm so happy. I'm happy to be here as a member of AlmaLinux community. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm Hide Ishikawa, and I'm actually from the technical side on the Prime Strategy. And let me a little bit give you an introduction about our company. I think this one?
Yeah.
Oh, it's from this one, yeah. I think most of you have never heard about our company because we don't have so much footprint on Germany. We are creating a product called Kusanagi. Kusanagi is written here, and you might see the logo afterwards. And this is our iconic character, Kusanagi. And that will give you that we are from Japan. And what we offer is actually we provide a virtual machine based on AlmaLinux. And this is the advantage of our virtual machine is it's faster, safer, with freedom. And it's totally optimized for WordPress usage. Actually, it can run any CMS, but you can get the most benefit on WordPress. Anyway, our company started almost 20 years ago, and the Kusanagi software itself has been developed since 2015. So it's around 9 years now. And it actually originally started from CentOS 7 and gradually moved to CentOS 8. And you know what happened with CentOS 8. and now we are on AlmaLinux. I will give you why we have chosen AlmaLinux later on, but please give me a little bit of time to introduce our product first, because she's the business side and I'm the technical side. I need to make her happy. So the Kusanagi, why you use Kusanagi? It's faster, safer, and freedom. Why faster? You can run WordPress on any environment, but with Kusanagi you can get 2,330 times faster than a normal LAMP environment. That's it. If you try it, you can try it. And actually it is available on any cloud platforms. You can find our solution on Marketplace on AWS, on Azure, and so on. And of course, it's free. You can try it. And safer, because it is already pre-configured as a secure model, and we get all the secure updates from AlmaLinux. That's why it can be run as a solid solution. And lastly, freedom. As I said, this is a virtual machine. So it's available on any cloud, and you can choose which cloud you want to use. So that is one way of freedom. You can choose the platform. And because it's a virtual machine, you can log in with SSH, and you can do any configuration you want. There is no restriction on what kind of PHP version you want to use, what kind of database you want to use, what kind of application servers, web servers you want to use. There is no restriction on there. And of course, you can install any WordPress plugins you want. There is no restriction. That's why you have the freedom. Now, why we run Kusanagi on AlmaLinux? That is, first of all, it's enterprise ready. As I said, AlmaLinux is very solid, secure by design, and it's very stable solution. So we need, once you run WordPress, you don't want to have the site down. So it's very important to have a very solid and reliable operating system. That's one thing. And secondly, compatible with Red Hat and also CentOS. At the time when started Kusanagi in 2015 with CentOS 7, CentOS and Red Hat clone or compatible platform was a major Linux platform in Japan. So most of the Linux engineers was very much familiar with the Red Hat compatible environment, but not with others. That's why it was a very fast priority that we have a compatibility with it. And nowadays, still, there are a lot of major, most of the engineers in Japan, and I also assume more in global-wise, many people are still familiar with Red Hat clones. That's why it's very important for us. And as I said, secure updates is also important. We get the security updates very frequently and also as predictable. And lastly, the large, vibrant community is also a very big support for us. Now, Kusanagi actually runs, we have more than 85,000 installations worldwide, and it runs on the 37 countries and 215 regions and on 29 major platforms. So you can find us everywhere on the globe, and that means you can also find AlmaLinux on the globe. And if the number of running Kusanagi increases, that means also the number of running AlmaLinux increases as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. 85,000 installs is nothing to shy at. And I actually got to meet these two when they came to AlmaLinux Day Tokyo in December. And seeing the explosion and success of their project has been really heartening for me. So it's awesome to have them here. Next up, we're going to bring up Jonas to talk to us about the fun stuff they're doing at ATIX Consulting.
Thank you. Thank you for having the possibility to be here. And yeah, my name is Jonas, and I'm working at ATIX. ATIX is a consulting company focusing on Linux and open source tools. And we have several teams and technical expertise in different areas like the Linux platform operations, infrastructure automation, the whole cloud-native software engineering, the container platforms, DevOps in general. And I'm myself a tech guy, and I'm leading the team for the infrastructure automation. But I'm here because I want to tell you something about Ocarino. And Ocarino is our tool, and it's a lifecycle management tool, basically for everyone who has to run Linux servers. And in this case, it is not dependent that they need to run in the cloud. They can be your own cloud, your private cloud. They can be the public cloud. They can be bare metal machines. The lifecycle management Ocarina offers is separated in 3 pillars, I would say. One part is the ability to provision new hosts, so installing the operating system on a new machine that can be in a cloud instance only to configure it since it's an image-based installation. But if you have your own environment, you also want to have the possibility for network-based installation for your bare metal servers. You want to have a connection to your hypervisors like VMware, Proxmox, and stuff like that, or even the cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. So at some point, you need to create new machines or set up the operating system. And with Ocarina, you can automate that step. And you have also the possibility to already put in some base configuration of your operating system. The second part is managing the content, so a release and patch management for your operating system. So if you have a large environment, it's important to have the control which packages are installed on your servers, which are available for your production servers, because maybe you want to test them first. Because in Linux, it's really difficult to downgrade packages because of dependency health. And at that point, the Ocarina can be a private mirror, so it will decrease that colorful graphs Benny showed, because our customers synchronize the repository once and update it regularly, but then there are thousands of clients are attached to the Ocarina to have the control which packages are available for my servers, and in which environments, which versions are available. And I also get the information what is installed on my servers, what patches are available, and what security patches are available. And the last part, or the last pillar of that tool is also the configuration management. So you want to have the possibility to configure your operating system up to that point that it also configures your application running on it, like a Kubernetes cluster or maybe a WordPress stack, I don't know. And at that point, we have integrations for several configuration management tools in our tool, like Puppet and Ansible and SaltStack, and I guess you all know which of those tools you need in your environment. And the great advantage of Ocarina is that it's flexible. So we do not concentrate on just one operating system, but we want to have it for all Linux distributions which are in data centers. So AlmaLinux, in general enterprise Linux, but we also support like Debian-based operating systems, SUSE Enterprise Linux. And the goal is to have one tool where you can manage your Linux infrastructure. And you want to have automated workflows to be efficient. If you have like only a few technical guys who have to manage hundreds of servers, you want to have a stable solution. You want to have like the information if there are security patches available and the possibility to decide where to install them first or to roll them out globally. And for that, you want to have an overview of it. But I'm here also because of AlmaLinux, and so the Ocarina itself is running on an enterprise Linux. So for a long time, we ran it on CentOS, and at some point, we needed to decide on which operating system we want to switch after CentOS, and our decision was to run it primarily on AlmaLinux because of stability, and since the Ocarina server for our customers is like one core component. It delivers like all the repositories and packages, it controls the configuration, and it is responsible to create new machines and new servers. So it's really important to have a stable environment there. And the other part is that we also like the ecosystem around AlmaLinux, and this is where, again, Igor comes into place, because if you looked at his slide first, there was also that TaxCare logo. And we worked together with TaxCare as technical partners to have also the integration for their kernel care product, to have also live patching available for the infrastructure if you want to have it. And also the advantage of kernel care is that it supports many operating systems. And yeah, with that, we are really happy to be here and to use AlmaLinux as our base for the whole orchestration of the Linux infrastructure of our customers.
Thank you. The more I learn about Ocarina, the more excited I am that they're part of our community, because the things that they do, the solution that they provide is exactly what we're all looking for in our day-to-day sysadmin lives, right? Last but certainly not least, we get to hear from Tristan, from a company that sometimes, as a person who is invested in an operating system, you don't always see everybody that's using your OS. And there are certain companies that you hear about using it, you're just like, no, really? And Shed for me was one of those. So please welcome Tristan.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Did you ever get a new job where the mantra was, don't touch it if it works? Well, I did in 2022, and that's what led us to AlmaLinux. My name is Tristan Theroux. I am the IT Infrastructure and Security Director at Shed, a VFX and post-production studio deeply into Linux based into Montreal. Our infrastructure itself is pretty complicated, but it is high I/O performance. What? No?
Yeah, right?
No?
No, never mind.
Okay, I did. Oh, sorry. So our infrastructure is deeply performance impacted and I/O needed for the whole 3D and VFX workflow. Our infrastructure is based of about 35 GPU and CPU rendering servers that are running currently on AlmaLinux, 45 plus workstations, hypervisors, VMs, backup servers, and that's not included the file servers of about 500 terabytes plus combined together. These are all having 24 gigabyte VRAM graphic card dedicated for each workstation and GPU server rendering. And at the end of the day, we had to migrate from CentOS 7 where I came in, which was there because the predecessor left it there with no documentation, no knowledge, no nothing. So if you wanted to upgrade something, it actually failed or you didn't know how to fix it or upgrade it. So we had to go from scratch and rebuild from scratch everything. And that's where we discovered AlmaLinux, and we decided to go that route ever since. Shed is actually been working with AlmaLinux with the Elevate and multiple package for the VFX industry. We've been working with Deadline from AWS for multiple years to manage our rendering servers. And the AlmaLinux Foundation actually helped us build a package that was missing for Deadline to integrate into AlmaLinux 9. And I was pretty amazed by the time they actually fixed it. In about a day, not even, they released the package, it was ready, they said, test it out, let's go, it worked. That for us meant the stability and support we needed to go into future-proof. Adding to that, we went with Elevate to future-proof our goal with Linux and with AlmaLinux. Elevate was tested on our end with 10 plus VMs, which were critical, which were not technically being able to be upgraded, but it did it perfectly without any issue. And now the next step for us is to upgrade the whole infrastructure with the resting, which means all the workstations. The AlmaLinux community has been amazing to the point where you put a question to the support chat, and in not even an hour, you get an answer from either an expert in the field or someone on the team of AlmaLinux. And that for us is like having an extended support team dedicated to your own IT team. For us, this means everything. It means support, reliability, and security at the end. Because every time you get a question, for even if it's a security issue, they're going to fix it for you or answer you right away. Shed is being transitioned to AlmaLinux with everything going on, and we'll continue to use AlmaLinux for the days to come, and we're really, really happy to be here with you guys. We have in the VFix industry something really incredible that means that each software is dedicated to Linux only. If we talk about Houdini or Maya or even Nuke, it all really runs on RHEL-based or Enterprise Linux-based distros. This means for us that it needs to be perfectly balanced for performance, but also for stability at the end of the day. And those software are really, really picky. And what I mean picky is you just forget a space somewhere, it's going to crash. AlmaLinux so far has been able to provide us with the help to fix all those packages and bring those software to where it is more than stable. That's what, for us, dedicates everything, guide us into the future with them. For us at Shed, this means it's a strategic partnership, a commitment to excellence with AlmaLinux, and thank you very much.
Thank you. The thing about all of these people behind me, everyone has traveled to be here. Only one of them is kind of local. The number of people that have gone without sleep to join me on the stage and present in a language that is not their native language and provide justification for and support for the operating system and the community itself is, I'm just super grateful. So if we can give them another round of applause, that'd be great. As an open source project, we have very little insight into who's using our project. It is always somebody coming to tell us what's going on, and the things that we see are incredible. From the small home server, home user, I have my totally not Plex server set up, or I have my my home automation set up, or whatever they're using, to I have many hundreds of VMs, to I can't tell you where I work, but we have thousands of VMs. All of that kind of conversation happens in the public. And we are so grateful to see these kinds of things. Somebody started a thread on Reddit a couple weeks ago that said, hey, I'm thinking about using AlmaLinux. Where are you using it? Is it in production or in testing? How are you using it? What are you using it for? And the answers that were on that thread were incredible. The other place we see stuff is on Twitter. From the everyday to the absolutely incredible, to see how AlmaLinux is solving problems for our users, for our community, is so heartening, and I am grateful to continue to see it. If you are using AlmaLinux anywhere, I would encourage you to reach out and either, if you can't post about it publicly, just send me an email. If you can post about it publicly and you want to submit a blog post, come hang out. We would love to hear that. The ways that our community engages are wide and varied, and we are always looking for more people to contribute to the life of AlmaLinux. We are going to take a short break, and up next we'll have Andrew, but that is it for now. Thank you so much.